Shalom, family. Today we'll be discussing proper leadership according to the scriptures. Leadership is extremely important in this walk, and I want to do my part to point out the scriptures that empower the body to properly assess a leader. Before we begin, never think that you can abdicate your own personal responsibility for learning the scriptures by leaning on any spiritual leader. If you don't know the scriptures for yourself, you become easy to deceive, easy prey for the enemy. Study to show yourself approved, always. Without further ado, let's get to work, Mishpachah. Throughout his ministry, the Messiah warned his followers about false prophets, like right here in Matthew chapter 7, verses 15 through 20. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. By their fruits you shall know them. In other words, by examining the actions of these corrupt leaders, you can perceive the wolf hidden beneath the thin veneer of religiosity. Please watch your leaders closely, Yisrael. Examine their fruit. Observe the manner in which they live their lives. This will tell you everything that you need to know. The Apostle Peter also warned us about false leaders. 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the master that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. And through covetousness, that's greed, they will make merchandise of you. They will take advantage of you for the sake of money. You know this dude? Look at him when he sends around the collection plate, looking like Mr. Burns after closing a corporate merger. This guy is easy to spot if you know what to look for. This is the leader that asks for offerings at every gathering. He works a lecture on so-called tithing into every other sermon. He'll send that collection plate around 2 or 3 times during the service. He'll even demand offerings at the weekly scripture study. Every time you see this dude, he's hitting you up for money. Side note here, tithes only go to bloodline Levites according to Torah. They're only collected once every 3 years. Tithes are food and not money. Those collecting tithes are obligated to share them with the stranger, the fatherless, and the widows. You can read all about it in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verses 22 through 29. But that's a discussion for another day. Back to the discussion at hand. Not only is this type of corrupt leader overly concerned with money, he'll also whisper strange doctrine in your ears, privately, of course, just like Peter warned against. Be careful who you yoke yourselves to. The Apostle Paul lays out some very clear guidelines on what makes someone qualified to be a spiritual leader. Let's get into that. It's crystal clear. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the assembly of Elohim? Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without, lest he fall into reproach in the snare of the devil. So, your shepherd should be a good example to others. He should have one wife. He should be watchful over the flock, hospitable, and a good teacher. He should not be a party animal, violent, or greedy. He should also be a capable ruler of his own household. He should not be suffering disobedience from his wife or his children. If he can't run his own house, why should he be given charge over the house of Yah as an overseer? You'd think this would be common sense. But people follow pastors who have had divorce after divorce and whose households are in continual disarray. That's not what the scriptures advise us to do. Period. Moving on. He should not be new to the walk. He should also be well thought of by the community at large. If your pastor has a miserable reputation in his local community, it speaks to his character. Now let's talk about the deacons. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 8 through 12. Likewise, must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, holding the mystery of the faith in a pure conscience. And let these also first be proved, then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderers, sober, faithful in all things. Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their houses well. Now, notice that pastors do not lead alone. They have deacons that lead with them. This is a well-established principle throughout the scriptures, and we'll get into that in just a minute. The requirements to be a deacon are the same as those of a bishop. Notice that the conduct of a man's wife is a reflection of his own character. If a man's wife is out of pocket, it is a sign that he is not suited to leadership. After all, if a man cannot lead his own wife, he cannot serve as a leader of a congregation. Look out for that. So now let's discuss the structure of an assembly. As I just mentioned, you'll notice throughout the scriptures that most of the leaders of Israel had a council of elders that ruled alongside them. Moses had a council of elders. The Messiah also had a council of leaders that will later judge Israel and rule alongside him. The Most High Yah has a council of elders as well. So it's probably pretty important, right? Yet, you'll notice that rogue shepherds do not share the burden of leadership. Let's get right into the scriptures on this idea, and we'll start with Moses. Exodus chapter 18, verses 14 through 18. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto even? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of Elohim. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, This thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee. For this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Moses' father-in-law Jethro pointed out the need for Moses to have elders to help him lead Israel. It's not a good thing for one man to be burdened with leadership. But Jethro goes on to lay out the qualifications for such an elder. Exodus chapter 18, verses 21 through 23. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties and rulers of tens. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. If thou shalt do this thing, and Elohim command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure, and all this people shall also go to their place in peace. Catch the requirements though. Men that fear Elohim, men of truth, and that hate covetousness. These are men who cannot be bought. Sounds familiar, right? That's because Paul derived his qualifications for an overseer from Torah, from right here, actually. Now let's discuss the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, also known as the Ruach HaKodesh, upon these elders. Let's go into the book of Numbers. Numbers chapter 11, verses 24 through 29. And Moses went out and told the people the words of Yahuwah, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them around about the tabernacle. And Yahuwah came down in a cloud and spoke unto him, and took of the spirit or ruach that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not cease. But there remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad, and the Spirit rested upon them. And they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man and told Moses, and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. And Yehoshua the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, My master Moses, forbid them. But Moses said unto him, Enviest thou for my sake? Would Elohim that all Yahuwah's people were prophets, and that Yahuwah would put his spirit upon them. Notice how Moses was not jealous in the least. Moses' sincere desire was for the people to grow in the faith. He wasn't interested in being viewed as the big-time prophet. He had a servant's heart. Our leaders should be the same way. Let's move on to demonstrate that Yahushua HaMashiach and Yah will both rule alongside a council. Matthew chapter 19, verses 27 through 28. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and have followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yehoshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yisrael. The Messiah will rule over Israel alongside his apostles. Even he sees the necessity of a council of elders. Let's move on. Revelation chapter 4, verses 1 through 4. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was as it were the voice of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. By the way, those are brown stones. Yes, the script is basically saying that Yah is a brown-skinned dude. Deal with it. And there was a window round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. Yahuwah Most High, creator of heaven and earth, the Ancient of Days, does not need the help of men to rule. Yet, he sets the example of proper leadership for us by having a council of elders. See, it's vitally important that an assembly be about more than the ego of one man. Man worship is a serious problem not only within Christianity, but within the awakening as well. I see too many Hebrews following after man-made doctrines and even offering veneration to men because they allow a wolf in sheep's clothing to lead them and the rest of the congregation astray. A council of well-read, well-vetted elders prevents nonsense like that from happening. A bishop should be drawn from a council of elders and replaced by and from that same council if necessary. Let's wrap this one up, family. Here is what a shepherd should be: upright, a good husband and father. He should be vigilant. He shouldn't allow just anyone to come up and minister before the congregation. He should be hospitable. He should be a good teacher. He should be a capable ruler of his own household. If his personal affairs are a mess, he isn't qualified to lead because you can expect the assembly to be a mess. He should be humble, just like Moshe or Moses, and just like the Messiah. He should be a servant and not a would-be king. He should be patient. Okay? Now, here's what a shepherd should not be: a drunkard or addict of any kind. He should not be greedy or overly concerned about being paid from ministry work. People like this are easily corrupted by big donors in the congregation. A money-driven shepherd will hesitate to rebuke or remove someone who donates a significant amount of money to their ministry. This is where the problem comes in. Watch out for shepherds like this because they're all over the place. A shepherd should not be violent or prone to violence. They should not be arrogant. An arrogant person is competitive and cannot receive correction. An arrogant person is looking for applause and recognition. They're narcissists who get a personal high from being the big muckety muck. Recognize them and flee from them. A shepherd should not be new to the walk. People new to the walk have not been tested. They shouldn't be leading a congregation regardless of how charismatic they are. A shepherd should not be alone, seeking to hoard power, money, or influence over a congregation. This is a key indicator that you may be dealing with a wolf. Do they have an organized council of elders who have authority over the congregation? If not, you should stop and start paying close attention to how they get down. You might have a well disguised wolf on your hands. Stay woke. Remember, family, the Messiah came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. We should expect our shepherds to be servants and not would be kings like Eddie Long was. As always, thanks for your time, family. I've attached a PayPal link for those of you who wish to make a free will offering in support of my YouTube ministry. I'm grateful for your consideration. Of course, prayer is wonderful, even preferable, because the favor of Yah is far more valuable than money. Okay? Thank you all so much for the blessings that you've offered to me and my new wife, Hadara. It's really been wonderful and it means a lot. May Yah bless all of you. Shalom.